So I actually grew up in Pennsylvania for most of
Wow.
my younger life, and started out kind of had a lawn care business as a high school student because
Oh,
or
cool.
yeah, middle school, like 12, 13 years old. All my friends had dirt bikes, and that's one of my main passions now. But I always wanted a dirt bike. My parents would never get one for me. So I was like, well, how do I go about doing this? And so I just started mowing lawns for every neighbor that would give me a shot, and saved up money and bought my first dirt bike. And ever since then, that kind of taught me initially, sending bills out and doing good work for people and word of mouth and so on and so forth. So that was kind of my first experience as a entrepreneur. Yeah, obviously I've done quite a few different things from then, and taken a few different paths, but ultimately wound up doing this. So
I find it really cool, like how I was the same as well. I cut grass for our local community and had a grass cutting business. I mean, I'm talking when I was like 11, 12, 13. I would drive up the road with a wagon on behind with a trimmer and go knock on doors. And then I had clients I would sign up for the year. And it's crazy how those experiences actually like first give you your first itch of like, okay, making money, or and I have a small little story on I was actually talking about this the other day with my lawn business, and I remember in business asking for an advance on pay before I even knew exactly what that was. I was about 12 years old, and I was saving up for a Yamaha Warrior 350 race bike, kind of trail bike. Really wanted it, and I was like $1,200 short. And I knew that if I went up to my client's house, I had about $1,300 left of grass cutting for the year. So I asked them for like an advance, not knowing at the time what I was doing. And I just thought of that the other day, and I thought that was pretty cool because, to your point, it gives you that kind of like foundation of business, and it got me excited about how much more money can I make. I like being outside. I like doing this type of work. So it's really interesting that like stuff like that can actually kind of propel you into like your future. But what brought you out to Montana?
I've lived a few different places, and I think maybe this is one of the reasons I'm so comfortable taking big risks, is because for my dad's job, he works in shipping, and we moved around a lot as a kid. So I was kind of always uncomfortable. I was always the new kid around. So I just being uncomfortable to me is kind of normal now. So I've always loved the mountains. Like I love riding in the mountains, and just basically anything related to the mountains. And before I came out here, I actually lived in California for a brief while, and I was in the union there, the operators union. I worked in the city for, I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but it's a company called Malcolm Drilling. I worked for them for quite a few years, and that was an awesome company to work for, and I loved it, and it was decent money. But honestly, I was just kind of miserable. I moved back in with the parents, and tried to save up money, and that's when I first started buying equipment. Started out with a skid steer, saved up quite a while for that, and I think my dad loaned me some money, and I got a Bobcat open cab skid steer, used that, was doing side jobs basically every weekend, every hour I could after work, I'd be going working on my side jobs, and saved up from there, and got, bought a newer dually pickup, and a Mini X. And I actually kind of in California, when I was doing side jobs, I did a lot of retaining walls. Is kind of how I built up money then. But yeah, I was just always drawn up here, and came up here. I have a few friends that came up here for school, and just wound up here, and I visited up here and loved it. And I actually have some family in Alberta, Canada, and I always loved going there as a kid. So I just figured as close as I could get to something like that was where I needed to be.